news of the passing away of the former president, the founding father of Zambia, has been a very saddening event. He has run his race. He's lived life to the fullest. He's left a legacy for us to be able to take the baton from him to achieve that which he spent the best part of his life doing. You know, personally, if I were to be reflective, when President Cyril Ramaphosa sent me to come to Zambia, I was excited for two reasons. One is I stayed in Zambia in the 80s. I grew up here. I came as a young man, foolish perhaps at some stage. And I arrived in Zambia, and I was looked after. At no stage did I feel as a foreigner in this country. As an attribute that the president had left and created in this country. I arrived here and I was welcomed. I felt at home. So when President Cyril Ramaphosa, 40 years later, says, go back to Zambia, I was very heartened for two reasons. One is I was being afforded an opportunity to return to Zambia, to solidify, deepen, strengthen the relations between the two countries. That's on the one level. The second level, which is a personal matter for me, was I was being afforded the opportunity to pay back my youthful days under the Zambian flags, the protection. The paying back is to raise the level of interaction between our two countries, ensure on both levels at the political and the economic sectors that these two run further deep inside. I arrived in Zambia in 2019. I presented my credentials to His Excellency, President Chagwa Lungu, and shortly thereafter, I had the opportunity to go to the founding father to tell him of my presence in Zambia. It was a very hearty moment. But let me tell you a secret that I shared with him. The former president, sometime in the 70s, was it? Yes, it was in the 70s. On the Victoria Falls Bridge, he had met the racists at the time and interacted with them. And the foolhardy, youthful chap that I was, hot-blooded, no head whatsoever. At the time, I had looked at the president, and that was before I even arrived in Zambia. And I actually said, how dare can the president of Zambia talk to the racists who I felt we all were committed to destroying them, throwing them in the sea and dispense of them because of the racism and apartheid that governed the country. So when I went to see him, I had the opportunity to correct that foolhardiness. I was a young man. 40 years later, as a fully matured person, I then was able to say to the president, Baba, years ago, I regarded you as a traitor when you spoke to the enemy. That's how foolish I was. But today, with wisdom, I realized that you had done all that you could, committed to peace, committed to development, committed to the youth, the children in South Africa, to say the country cannot live with racism, with tribalism, with division, but the country had to migrate to democracy, where there was no issues of ethnicity, where there were no issues of racism, where there was nothing negative. Everything was positive. I had the privilege of apologizing to him as a person and also on behalf of the entire June 16, 1976 generation, which I belong to. He smiled and he laughed because he was an understanding father. Perhaps I need to explain how deep and how painful, now sad, this loss is. I would refer to him as KK, not out of respect, but because affectionately we all call him that. KK has played a fundamental role in the liberation of South Africa. Had it been not for him, I doubt if South Africa would be what it is today. His friendship with the former president of the ANC, Oliver Reginald Tambo, the way they had interacted together, it is my firm belief that, to quote my former president Thabo Mbeki, who said, the Constitution of South Africa is what it is. We pay homage to KK. When my president at the time, Oliver Tambo, having spent sleepless nights, drafted the document, the Harare Declaration, was later adopted and charted the way forward for negotiations in South Africa, spelled out all the terms and conditions thereof. He suffered a stroke. It was a very grueling time. I will tell you that all of us, when he got stroke, we panicked. Again, the selfless president, KK, dispatched a medical team, his best professors and nurses. They stabilized him. He made arrangements, got OR to fly all the way to the UK, having been stabilized and saved. I will share this with the people of Zambia and also those of South Africa. Oliver Reginald Tambo finally was able to go back to South Africa and see a democratic South Africa within South Africa. When he saw it, we all said thank you to KK for the intervention that he did. I have raised these two issues, which are very fundamental, which to me say South Africa and Zambia have to get their act together and move as one to be able to develop the continent through interaction at SADC level and harness all our energies to ensure that that which KK fought against, poverty, landlessness, HIV and AIDS, indeed COVID, must be obliterated in the world. We owe that to him. And the way for us to be able to achieve that is to ensure that the DNA that exists in him, in Oliver Tambo, must continue and flow in our veins so that we can realize the Africa that they wanted to see. We owe it to them. In ending, may the Kaunda family know that they are not alone in this hour of need. South Africa is still there. I am here. Thank you for affording us the opportunity to cherish and learn from the founding father, Bob Kaunda. Dala ngoxolo. Batshele nalabo bangale phesheya komfula. Sizwile, sizofunda, qhikelela ukuya phambili.